and welcome to My Turn Podcast, a gaming podcast hosted by extra competitive siblings. My name's Jem, and I'm joined by my sibling Erim.
Hi, Jem. Hi, everyone. Nice to see, well, not see you again. Nice to be speaking to you again in this new year, which will hopefully be a bit of a better one than the last couple, hey? Let's be positive.
I mean, we can be positive, or we can just stop hoping, and then we won't be disappointed anymore.
I guess, if you're pessimistic, you're either right or pleasantly surprised. I can't remember what that's from, but it's a very good little saying.
Oh, is that an actual quote?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a comedian's quote. I feel like it might be Ricky Gervais or someone like that. But I was
we'll take your words for it. This is a gaming podcast, as I mentioned, and we will be bringing you some recommendations, reviews, laughs, and arguments as we chat through our scantily researched, unprofessional, but very, very fun reviews of games we have been playing. As this is our first one back after the new year, I thought I'd just start by saying what you've been up to for the last 2 weeks, Erim. Any things you'd recommend to people to do?
Yeah,
this
actually.
Horrible month of January.
Definitely. So over Christmas, I got COVID. That was great.
Don't recommend that.
Oh no, I highly recommend it. I actually got a week to stay inside and play games. So it wasn't all bad because my symptoms were basically a runny nose. So if you're lucky like me, you can enjoy COVID. If you're not, then I'm so sorry.
I've still somehow managed to avoid catching it.
Have you? Well, it's like the biggest game of it in the world, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. I am infected now. So you're one of the few survivors. Do you get a medal after about 5 years if you've not got it? You get a letter from the Queen or something. I don't know, but I felt
over Christmas because our other brother had it as well. Yeah. And basically everyone got it over Christmas. And I did get a little bit of a sense of FOMO because I didn't have it and hardly anyone
wanted it.
Didn't have. No, but
sharing
felt
is
like
caring,
I was
Jem.
I felt like not having it was kind of worse because I was free to do stuff, but also there was no one to do stuff with.
Oh. Yeah, well, I think it affected a lot of people this Christmas, didn't it, really? Yeah. It was a bit of a shame, but, at least we're not locked down, and I feel like hopefully we're over that big peak that's come, and, we should be able to enjoy, the new year.
I mean, famous positive. Last words, whatever. And then for those of you who are new to the podcast, we don't ever do our Games of the Year roundup at the end of the year. We tend to do it for the Lunar New Year. And that is because partly Lunar New Year just makes more sense, I think, because it's when the world starts getting sunny again in the Northern Hemisphere. So it just seems like a better time of year to set goals and try and do stuff again. But also, I think January is the best month to catch up with all the games that came out the previous year, isn't it? Yeah. Like you said, no one's going out, no one's got any money.
Yeah, exactly. Weekends can be spent playing games.
Yeah, and also, if you've got any games for Christmas, January is the best month to get through them all.
Yes. No, good point, actually, yeah.
So I've been playing loads.
Have you? I've been playing extra as well. Yeah, so... obviously, you spoke about Far Cry last time. I've now got Far Cry. Finally got my present from my brother. Obviously, we didn't see each other because of Jody COVID. But oh my God, I'm having a great time flying helicopters around and blowing stuff up. I mean, that's what life is about, isn't it?
Yes, 100%. And it's nice with Far Cry as well to pretend you're in a sunny climate. Occasionally visit some hotels. Sure, you might blow them up, but it's quite nice to be there for a little bit before you blow them up.
A unique holiday experience, isn't it?
For sure. Anyway, we digress. We have 2 games that we're going to be reviewing for you today. They are both video games because we are now mostly at home again, not really meeting up as much in person. So what game are you going to be talking about today, Erin?
Well, I've had a bit of a return to one of my favourite series of strategy games, so Total War 3 Kingdoms.
Total War 3 Kingdoms. Yeah. And I am going to be talking about the slightly more current Halo Infinite.
Oh. Very
Who wants to go
exciting.
first?
Who went first last time? I can't remember.
I don't know. It's
I'll go
usually
first.
you.
Yeah, I don't mind going first.
All right. Okay. So tell me about this Total War game.
Oh.
What is it? When did it come out? Which one is it of the umpteen million Total War games you've played?
Oh my god, it's probably about the 10th one that I've played. I think roughly around that number. I haven't actually sat down and worked it out. This one was actually released in May 23rd, 2019, so it's relatively recent. And it's a bit of
2019? Who remembers 2019? Who remembers a life before endless pandemic scares?
It was when life was still good.
Oh, goddamn. Goddamn. Okay, sorry.
That's
to
all right,
interrupt.
no worries. So following on from what's been like their first kind of delve into the more fantasy genre of what's it called, strategy games. This is the first one that I've played since then that is like a bit more of a historic game, but when I come into like talking about it in a bit more detail, there is a bit of the fantasy element still there, which I really, really like. But basically, it's set in the Three Kingdoms period of China, so it's it's a bit like rather than being a bit more of a global game, it's actually a bit more regional in one specific area, and it's about factions in China actually battling with each other. And more specifically, there's the period of time there was something called the Yellow Turban Rebellion. So the way I understand it, and this is where you said, your scantily researched things, I watched the oversimplified history video and took nothing in other than basically the kind of people, the nobles and like lords of the land were being like too harsh on peasantry with their taxation, and it caused a bit of a revolt. Well, I say a bit of a revolt, a massive revolt, and that's what the Yellow Turban Rebellion was. So a lot of this game is actually battling to keep these rebellions at bay.
Oh, so you're playing the oppressors?
You can play either. you can play either one, but yes, I am currently an oppressor, definitely.
So, according to YouTube,
a
bit more scanty research here, the Yellow Turban Rebellion, also translated as the Yellow Scarves Rebellion, was a peasant revolt in China against the Eastern Han Dynasty. The uprising broke out in 184 AD during the reign of Emperor Ling. So, do you play like Emperor Ling's army?
No, I'm like, what's my guy called? I think his name's like Cao Cao. Forgive me for the pronunciation, but I'm not gonna. I'll try my best not to butcher any Chinese names, but I think that's how you say it. So
yeah. Well, that sounds like a really interesting setting, and the fact that it is rooted in history.
Yeah,
does sort of add another layer, I think, to that kind of game.
Yeah. So I mean, they've kind of done what I think they can do with the kind of Rome Total War, which was set in well, what would that be? Is that ancient time? It's not medieval, but that kind of period.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
but
it's so that was kind of like a bit more of a global thing, and then they've done, the medieval period as well. Which was also
this is where we need Tim to like contextualize all the history. Tim, our resident historian, who isn't here today.
We definitely do. But they've essentially done a load of different periods, and for a lot of them, they've actually had to go back and revisit them. So you've got Rome 2, Total War, Rome Total War 2, and then you've got Medieval Total War 2. So I feel like now, because you can't just keep rinse and repeating games. They've gone for a bit more specialised, like more local kind of places, like national places. Like there's the Britannia one, which is set like obviously in Britain, with the Saxons and Vikings fighting each other. There's the Three Kingdoms one now set in China, and they've also got Troy, which I'd like to try at some point. So I feel like they're focusing on a narrower region of the world, which kind of gives it a bit of like they can stylize it a bit more, and like that's one of the things that I really like about this game, how they've styled it.
All right, so because you've played so many of these games, and Total War fans like you will know, there are a lot of similarities between them and how they work. But what was your expectation then going into one that was a bit more sort of streamlined into a specific point in history in a specific place?
I'd actually seen videos of it, to be honest, before, so I kind of had an idea of what it was going to be like. I thought it was going to be a bit of a return to like the classic Total War style without like ridiculous dragons and spells and stuff like that, which is obviously my expectation was met in that sense. However, like I said earlier, there is still this element of fantasy, and there's two ways of playing the game. There's one called I think it's just called realism, something like that, but basically realistic. There's no like generals that can kill like 100 people, and then you've got what's called, oh my god, what the hell is it called? Romance. That's it, because there's a
What's
book.
it called? Sorry, I laughed through it.
It's all right.
I was laughing at you trying to remember.
The reason is because there's a book about the Three Kingdoms period called
what
Romance.
was it called?
Yeah. I'm explaining that. There's a book called The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and that's the gameplay style is called Romance, and it's where like, I mean, general units play out as they would normally, but you've got like these generals that are just like major kick-ass guys who and ladies. I'm very sorry.
Very good.
But yeah, like you send them into a unit and they'll kill like 250 people. And like you have them like, if you wanted to, you can duel them together, and it's in that kind of very overdone martial artsy style. You see them fight each other, and it's really there, like zoom in and watch them, be like, wow, it's really cool. It's such a unique element to the game, actually, that I think it's really cool.
So what does it just expand to a cutscene or something?
No. You
or
can
it's
carry
still
on
the same style, but you just see them take out. Like,
yes, essentially the battle is still going on around them. But what happens when the generals actually fight each other? No other units can engage unless you force them to. They basically would be like standing around spectating. And I'm pretty sure this is something that I've seen when I've been doing it. The units will actually jeer each general on. And it's just like, you'll be having a battle, and then you're like, oh, there's a duel happening. Let's accept that. And you're kind of like, well, let's just zoom in on this. Oh, yay. And then you see a massive battle take part. It goes on a bit long, but it's just such a unique and really cool thing. And it's just like, yeah, the stylized, the way this game is stylized, I think is just so cool. And they've done a bloody good job of it.
Oh, it sounds very positive. So what are your sort of main things that you're really enjoying about the game apart from that? Is there anything else? Yeah,
loads. This game, honestly, the battles are gorgeous, and which is a weird thing to say. But
no, I get that.
Again, the way it's stylized, they've obviously taken some sort of inspiration from that time period and the way things were presented and the art of that time, and like just integrated it into their battles. The units are beautiful. The landscapes are beautiful. I think it runs really well. Like, it feels a lot less, what's the words? It feels a lot more organic and real than maybe Total War, what's it called? The Warhammer games did, which are still like, I think, incredible.
Yeah, you really enjoyed those, didn't you?
Yeah, but it feels so much more real. Like the units are so much better detailed. Yeah, it feels like a classic...
So you mean, when you say more real, you mean in style rather than in subject matter? Because obviously...
No.
Warhammer's not based in history.
No, as in like looking at the individual units, like they look so much more detailed and so much more alive.
What year did that come out though? Was that like 2018?
Oh, I'd have to actually have a look. Let me just quickly check. Warhammer...
I think I'm going to challenge you, Erim. For me, for our listeners, I want you to like do a chronology of all the Warhammer, not Warhammer, sorry, all the Total War games that you've played and rank them for a special mini episode.
Okay.
For all the Total War nerds out there.
Warhammer 2 is actually in 2017. But the thing to remember is it's kind of an expansion upon the first Warhammer. Yeah, so I think the graphics aren't different, but they've just expanded the game hugely. And there's a third one going to be coming out in the future. So I don't think there's going to be a major update in terms of graphics, but it's just the content of that game. And that's one of the great things about that game. It just grows and grows and grows.
Yeah.
And it just seems
that's an interesting comparison to pull up, though, between them, because they weren't released that far apart. So... But this sounds like it's really upped its game on visual style and general design. And does that also translate to the motion of combat and how armies come out and how like it visually sort of comes together in the big battles?
Yeah, to a degree, but I think part of that is actually just to do with the gameplay, because you've got less diverse units in there. It is a bit more traditional feeling in the way you construct your armies. You won't just have like 10 giants running around. It is a bit more like formation. Damn it,
why can't we get giants?
It is a bit more formation based. And I think as much as I love the Warhammer games, I do miss that kind of more realistic seeing, like, 3,000 men on one side and 5,000 on the other lining up against each other. And yeah, just that ridiculously huge scale. A bit like when you see, do you remember seeing Lord of the Rings and there was the Helm's Deep battle and you were like, how are there so many orcs here? It's like that feeling. You're like, it's
more and more.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, I love it. I absolutely love it. That's one of the appeals of the Total War games to me. Just the epic scale of it. And this is a return to epic scales, where you do have thousands of people on each side. You don't necessarily have that in Warhammer. So yeah, like it definitely does affect the way the armies present themselves and move out, like you said.
Amazing. And what other positives are there? You said you had loads.
Yeah, well, what have I spoken about? Obviously, stylism, the realism, the duels are really cool. About. Yeah, the fact you've got different varieties of gameplay as well. The romance option is a really, really cool one, because I like having a general that is just like a major badass, as opposed to old Total War games where you just have a general unit which was just pretty damn powerful. But I like sending like a guy into a unit just to like hold them off while my other forces deal with other things, and then I can come. Yeah, the tactics of the game I really, really enjoy.
I'm just imagining like you send a guy out with a big stop sign like a lollipop lady. Stop!
Well, more like a massive spear or sword or axe or something like that, and you send him into a unit, and he'll quite happily just hold them off. It is ridiculous. Like, it is so OTT, but also I love that. That's why we play these games sometimes.
And then, can I ask you a quick question as someone who doesn't play these games but has watched you play these games? What about the sort of story when it's rooted, especially in history? Do you get a sense of what is happening in the history without having to go and watch a crappy video about it?
I mean, I think that's down to you and how much you want to read, I guess, because there'll be like, if you're in the campaign mode of it, there'll be like different bits of dialogue that pop up explaining what's happening at certain times. But again, like, it's not like a history lesson. It's kind of, you're making your own history in that period. Obviously that's the setting. Yeah, like, but it's a bit like the old medieval games. England didn't take over the whole of Europe, but that's what you do.
Right. Yeah.
So I think there is, you can learn a bit of history about that time there, but I play it because I want to kill things in that style. I'm not such a that's the point of the game. You're not there to make friends with everyone. It is called Total War, not Total Friends.
I know, Total Friends. Oh, can you imagine? Total Friends. That sounds like a game I would like. That basically sounds like Animal Crossing to me.
Maybe like someone can do a mod of it or something. You have to make everyone.
Oh my
like
god!
each
Animal
other.
Crossing Total War. Kick Tom Nook off
That
his
would
own
be
island.
amazing.
Go.
To be honest, they've modded it for loads of different things.
For
They've
loads
done,
of
I
things.
mean, they've done a Lord of the Rings one. They've done a Game of Thrones one. I'm sure, like, if the right people got together, they could do that.
Any Total War mods out there? Who fancy like developers or home developers or whatever you call yourselves when you fiddle with stuff, go and make one for me. Animal Crossing Total War. I'd love it. That'd be amazing. All right. So, what about any downsides, negatives, or disappointments with this game?
Not anything major. So the campaign, I feel like there's a lot to take in, as there is with a lot of the modern Total War games. It will take you a bit of time to get your head around. There's this weird like mechanic in the game where generals don't like each other. They have these little ticks and crosses next to whether they get on. So you have to like put generals in certain armies. Otherwise, they can have like a bit of infighting. I've not had an issue with it so far. But it's a bit annoying. Like, I don't want
in crowd fighting.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want like Lu Bu and my General Dave having a fight with each other. Like, I want to kill enemies, not like have to manage their little bloody petty squabbles.
I'm already imagining General Dave.
General Dave.
I kind of feel like he'd come out eating a sandwich and drinking a tea with 4 sugars in it.
See, I need to test this because you can rename your units, but I'm not sure whether you can rename your generals. But I can just imagine like a general General Dave in the Three Kingdoms period of China.
I love that. That's so good.
So other than that, let's have a think. The campaign sometimes feels like if you're not careful with the alliances you make, and you can end up just being surrounded by allies, and then you have to go really far afield to kind of look for the next bit of action. I've made that mistake in one of my campaigns now. So like I've got this really nice area that is just surrounded by all my friends, like literally like a donut around me. So I'm having to go really, really far out of the way. It's like taking about 5 or 6 turns to go find my next opponent, basically.
That's kind of annoying.
Yeah, it is a bit annoying. So I wish there was a bit of a way that you could stop that. It's almost, is it a bit too easy to make alliances? There is like this thing that they've done in the diplomacy where you just basically, you can do quick deals. So before you'd have to like go through individual things and weigh up whether it's worth like making a trade agreement, and like sometimes they'll reject things and you wouldn't know whether it would work out or not. It was always a bit of you're always a bit unsure. Whereas this game, you can just make deals really, really quickly. It's like, will they accept? Yeah, these people will accept this deal. These people accept trade deals. These people will be your allies.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just a mechanic I need to get used to. But I was like, oh yeah, let's do loads of diplomacy with everyone. I think I might have gotten a bit gung ho. I mean, it's
gung ho with diplomacy.
Basically,
yeah. So is there like ever a difficulty setting on this game? Or is
there's always difficulty settings on them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean you could. This is.
It's too easy. Turn it up.
The issue with Total War games and making it more difficult is that it's not actually more difficult. It's just that the AI normally cheats. So they'll have like loads more resource and their units will just be like tons stronger. So I'm a bit like, it's not really actually more difficult. It's just that you've got extra powers.
More stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's not like they out-strategize you.
No,
like,
which is a shame, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a shame. Yeah, I would have thought it would have been more about the difficulty of strategy.
Yeah.
And pre-planning and ambush and stuff like that.
I mean, obviously, because they're that much more difficult, you do have to think a bit more on your toes, but it's not really... Yeah, I'm not really, like, enamored by turning the difficulty up, because I found it in the Total War games as well. Sorry, not Total War, the Warhammer games. As soon as I turned the difficulty up, like, all my opponents had, like, tons more units than I did. And I was like, I can't even afford the ones that I've got at the minute. So it's just like, this is blatantly cheating. And then, from the other Total War channels that I look at and watch and stuff, they were like, so the way Total War makes things more difficult is that the AI just cheats.
They just get loads more giants.
Yeah, loads more giants, loads more money. They can build quicker. And it's just like, for goodness sake. So yeah, I play it on like the standard difficulty, which, you know.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm very much in favour of just play things on normal.
Yeah. It's not the easy difficulty, it's just the standard
normal.
One.
Yeah, like whatever the developers say is like normal.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me for most things.
Yeah.
Puzzle games, I sometimes turn up.
Do you?
Yeah, I usually feel it out, and then if there is I like to challenge myself. If it's like a real straight puzzle game, yeah, bring on that cerebral difficulty, yeah, maybe. But if it's in any way scary, then I might be tempted to switch down to easy. But I'm pushing myself to go for normal more often now.
Oh, like, good.
Whatever it's developed as, give me that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to who would you recommend this game to?
So anyone who's into the Total War franchise, I think it's one of the really, really, really good ones. It's one of my favourite ones. There's been, I think, a couple of the more modern ones, especially Britannia, haven't been received well. Mm-hmm. But this is one of the ones, apart from the Warhammer ones, that I think is actually incredible. Definitely give it a go. If it's your first Total War, maybe actually. It's not as complex as Warhammer, because there's just so many different variety of units. This one's a bit more streamlined in that regard. If you're into your, I guess, Chinese history as well and like their kind of warfare, then yeah, go for it. It's just a great strategy game all around, to be honest. Obviously I wouldn't say kids should be playing it because it's just a bit too complex. No, not even that it's violent, because I don't think there's any blood or gore or anything like that, unless you downloaded a bit of DLC for it. But it's there's quite a lot to think about, obviously, like how are you going to get your units around each other, flanking and things like that. It's not just a case of I send my soldiers, you send yours. It's not that simple.
So maybe like older kids who...
Oh, yeah, maybe. But not 6-year-olds, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless they're one of these little...
I don't know about things being called Total War being given to 6-year-olds anyway. It's just kind of weird.
I mean, you say this. Do you remember when we were younger and watching films?
Yeah, we used to watch really bad films when we were younger.
Exactly. So I'm sure someone's
And then I got in
done
trouble at school for writing really violent stories, so...
And look at you now, you're a professional writer and actress, so you know.
Oh well, yeah, I mean it kind of worked out in the end.
Exactly.
All right, before we get too sidetracked,
okay,
is there any other thing about this game, any honourable mention, any other detail that you think you need to highlight before we move on to a rating?
No, I mean, I've said it in the positives. It is I think the main unique things are like the style of it, the presentation, graphics are beautiful, and that dual aspect of the game, which is just, quite cinematic and quite enjoyable to watch. If you just,
I love it.
Wanted a bit of diversity in your battles. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Really, really cool. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. Bum, 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 bum. I don't know why I made that noise. I wanted like a drum roll and realised I couldn't do that. So, what is your rating?
9 out of 10, definitely.
9 out of 10? Wow.
Like, even just looking at I had like a Google search up. I haven't even mentioned who it's like by or anything like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, could you tell us what you played this on?
Developed by Creative Assembly and published by Sega. It's the 12th mainline entry in the Total War series. There you go. The game was released for Microsoft Windows on May the 23rd, 2019. I am playing it on Mac, so it's available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. One of the few games on Mac that plays very, very well, actually. Actually, no, that's a lie. Oh my God. No, it does crash occasionally. Okay, sorry, I beg your pardon. But yes, anyway, going back to the rating, 9 out of 10. Even looking at the images on Google, I just want to play it again.
Are you getting a bit
honestly,
excited?
Go on Google and just search, Total War 3 Kingdoms, because look at it, it's just so pretty.
Total War 3 Kingdoms. I mean, this is not the most riveting podcast content.
No, it
I'm
is.
going to have a look. I'm looking.
Imagine that you're looking at it right now. Look,
I'm looking
wow,
at it.
Big battles, lots of people, castles
it looks
broken.
fine. I mean, it looks fine.
No, it looks great.
It's fine.
What do you mean fine? My God.
Mean, sure.
Are you not like it blown away by how good like this stuff? It almost looks like a bit of a like.
Yeah, it looks fine.
It could be like a film.
It's all right. It's not my kind of game though, is it? So I'm like, yeah, it's all right. It's green.
Fucking boring, aren't you?
It's green.
I'm joking. Please don't
nice
hit me.
Trees. The uniforms look kind of cool.
Oh, I love it. Like looking at fortresses with the crumbled walls.
Yeah, I can see General Dave over there. Hi,
General Dave, yes. He's the best. I don't know.
Well, thank you, Erim.
Is this
making your top 3? Is this making your top 3 Warhammer games that you've ever played?
Warhammer games? It's not a Warhammer game.
Not Total Warhammer. Sorry, game. Oh my God. Total War.
I'd need to actually think about that in a bit more detail because they are some amazing, incredible games.
We will come back to that in a special bonus episode.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
For all the Total War nerds out there. All right, let's move on. Thank you, Erin.
That's all right. Now we have to talk about your game. So what was it? Halo Combat Evolved or something?
What? Halo Infinite.
Oh, okay. Halo Infinite. Sorry. There's been about 700 Halo games, haven't there?
Not true.
I mean, I can't say that considering there were like 12, 13 Total War games.
Yeah, exactly. No, this is the 6th main installment of the Halo.
Okay. Quite a lot though. I mean, I've only ever played the first one. So yeah. Tell us about it in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. And what kind of nut am I picking for this? A shiny nut.
Shiny nut.
And a brass nut.
A brass nut, okay.
Like as in like a nut that you screw things with. There we
go.
Because you play as Master Chief and he's pretty mechanical looking. But anyway, in a nutshell. I have notes and I can't find my notes. There we go. In a nutshell, right, Halo Infinite is a first-person shooter game. It's developed by 343 Industries and published by Xbox Game Studios. As I said, it's number 6 in the main Halo series. And this came out in December 2021. So 8th of December was when the full game dropped. There was a little kind of pre-release of some online stuff for the game, which I am not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about any of the multiplayer stuff. I'm only going to talk about the campaign because that's all I've played at this point.
I was going to say, assuming you haven't done the multiplayer then.
No, it's not my bag, but I think I might have a look into it. And also I'm interested in playing the co-op when that finally gets released in like May 2022. So I think they're saying May this year the co-op version gets released. Which is what a lot of people traditionally will have played Halo as a co-op experience, playing through the campaign. This is the first Halo game that also has an open world element to it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of new. And as ever, you play as the Master Chief, who is the top Spartan. And you basically have to defeat the Banished, who have taken over the Zeta Halo. It's pretty standard Halo story.
What's a Spartan for people who don't know what that is?
If you don't know what a Spartan is, you've had your head under a rock for a very long time. Everyone, even if you've never played Halo,
but some people might be thinking like 300.
Yeah, kind of though. Like it's a lot of the names in Halo are sort of based off of mythology and ancient history. So the Spartan warriors, they're like basically the big bad marine types. Even though I think there are marines in the game as well, but like the Spartans are like big bad robot-y looking, like
super elite mega armored soldiers, basically. Aren't they? Like very very special force kind of
mega armored brute type soldiers. The head of their game. So you play as like the big bad Master Chief. He's not bad actually. He's good. But
badass.
And you're trying to figure out what sort of happened to you in between Halo 5 and this game. It's kind of where the story starts. You basically start the game floating in space, and you get picked up by a pilot who is, by his admission, the only survivor of like the defeat of humans by the Banished. Like the Banished have won, and you don't know what's happened because you've been sort of unconscious and floating around in space. And part of the story is you sort of discovering what's happened to you in the last, I think it's about 6 months in between Halo 5 and this one. Now, I didn't play Halo 5 or Halo 4. I haven't actually played Halo since Halo 1.
Really? I think that's the only one I've played as well. So I'm quite intrigued about all this stuff. Like you said, the Banished. Who are they?
They're like the baddies. Let's just call it that. All the baddies in this game, pretty much, apart from there's a kind of other force at work. Yeah. In fact, there's 2 other forces at work, but the main baddies you encounter are the Banished, and they're non-human sort of like I don't know what the word is. What is the word? Like humanoid shape, like as in they've got human shaped ish bodies, but like animal head kind of heads. Yeah. But they're not really animals. They're like alieny apes and jackals and little weird dragony things. And like,
so it sounds like they're a different type of enemy to what you had in the original Halos, because you had the Covenant and I think something called the Flood, which was those weird little mutant alien things.
Yeah, so the Covenant comes up in this game. There's like reference to what's gone before, but in this you are mostly coming across the Banished. Yeah. Who are like a really fun group of enemies. Like, okay. I'll come to that in a bit.
Yes. Okay. So, what were your expectations going into this game then, Jen?
I was pretty like open to it because, as I said, I don't really have a emotional attachment to Halo. I know a lot of people do, but the culture's quite pervasive. Like, we're quite aware of Halo references, even if we've never played Halo. Because it's just sort of, it's like Microsoft's big game, isn't it? Yeah. It's, you know, even Microsoft's digital assistant was called Cortana, who is the AI who's Master Chief's AI throughout many of the games. Yeah. And that was like Microsoft's equivalent of Siri was called Cortana because of how popular the game character was. So it's just like stuff like that. You know stuff about Halo without realizing you know stuff about Halo. But for me, it was like, it looked cool. It's the first Halo in a really, really long time. Yeah. So I think it's been like 15 years or something, if I made that up. No, but
it's not been that long, has it?
10 years. I don't know. It's been a long time since Halo 5. But as I said, like, I don't have an emotional attachment to those games. So I was just like open. It dropped on Game Pass. I've got an Xbox. I was like, wicked, let's play it. And we've got an Xbox Series X. And obviously this is going to play beautifully on that. And it did. And you might as well play it because it drops on your Game Pass. It's already just there, ready to download.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, that's the wonderful thing. I mean, I know both Tim and I talk a lot about Game Pass, but I think Xbox have done something really amazing with it where they've made it work really well now. It's really slick. And the fact that they're doing direct to Game Pass on launch day stuff means that for the price of your subscription, you get a bunch of games the day they drop. Yeah. So that's really good. And for a massive game like Halo, coming back to Xbox, like, it's a huge thing, especially for this current gen, this newer gen of consoles. You're like, you've just basically got the game already. You don't have to do anything. Like,
yeah.
So you might as well play it. So that was my expectation was, well, I might as well play it.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah, if you don't have to pay anything extra, why not give it a go? I mean, yeah, it's a classic series, isn't it, really?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So let's move on. So what does the game do good then?
What does the game do good? That's a really nice
bad English
sentence.
So what's good about the game?
Oh my God.
All right,
I think Erim and I are both falling apart today.
Well, I've been running today. What's your excuse?
Lack of sleep.
That's not
working like crazy since New Year.
No. All right, fair enough.
But so this game, like, it's a first-person shooter. They've introduced this open world. I think first and foremost, you're like, wow, the ring that you're on is amazing. So the ring is like, for anyone who doesn't know Halo, the ring is like a kind of construction that basically forms a sort of stable ecosystem, and then there's like plants and trees and mountains and all kinds of things on there. So it's like being on a planet, basically. Just think of it like that. And it's gorgeous. And one thing, again, I think you might be aware of without realising you're aware of is the music of Halo. So it's gorgeous. Like, you start up the menu and
is it still the classic choir?
Oh, it is. Yeah, exactly. You know it even though you don't know it. Like, It's, again, that's what I mean. It's such a part of culture, this game series, that you know the music, even if you're not a massive fan. So obviously the music is great. The sound of the guns is amazing. Like, probably apart from Call of Duty, like the best sounding guns in games.
Is that quite satisfying? Because I've never heard anyone really bring up the sound of guns in game context, really, that I've spoken to.
So I bought some new headphones because I've been playing games with really quite amazing sound work and I wanted to like really hear it better. And I tested the headphones on Call of Duty and Halo guns.
Yeah.
In the shop. I was like, is the gun sound good enough? So yeah, I noticed that.
Oh.
I noticed the sound of guns. I really like it when weapons, projectiles, like, sound good. It's immersive. It adds to the immersion. But also when it's a kind of fantasy gun. Yeah. And this is a kind of sort of sci-fi. I mean, it's more of a fantasy, I'd say, than sci-fi. Even though they're sort of mechanized warfare, you're very much in a sort of fantasy setting a bit. And so the guns are like fantastical. There's like light weapons, like hard light weapons and plasma weapons, and you've got your normal standard bullets in the kinetic weapons and stuff like that. But there's electric weapons. Like, the weapons are cool.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tack onto that. In this game, for the first time ever, you get a grapple hook, which basically turns you into Spider-Man.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, like, the sound is amazing, the music's amazing, and the weapons are really cool. They're a lot of fun, and the grapple hook is your best weapon. And you get that at the start. You get a grapple hook, and you can upgrade it as the game goes on. And that is really cool. And I think part of the reason I enjoyed the game so much was having the grapple hook.
Yeah.
It just made the game a lot more fluid. Because I don't know about you, but I never play as a sort of hulky character. I never play as a kind of brute or a, like, the... You know, when you play open worlds, sometimes you get a choice, especially with RPGs, you'll get the choice of character type. And I'm always going for a sort of stealthy, lean elf type thing.
I'm never stealthy, but I would normally play as someone who's a bit more combat driven or magic. Yeah,
I was going to say, you're more of a mage. You go to the mage sort of style of things. But I never go for the big hench guy. And the thing with Halo is that that's who you are. Like, that is just who you are. So it's interesting, like, being forced to be slow. Yeah. He's massive. He does not move fast. Yeah. But having the grapple hook gives you a bit more fluidity in moving around the landscape and in combat and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it also, like, you can use it to propel you and slingshot you around things and hang off stuff. But also you can use it as a weapon where you just grapple into someone's face and, like, electrocute them, knock them over, stun them.
Oh, so, cool. Yeah. Oh, nice bit of nice added weapon there. What I wanted to ask, actually, being a bit of a fan of open world games, is how does the open world how does it contribute to this game?
So what I'd say is it's still like a very linear campaign in terms of the story. But what the open world gives you is a bit more freedom to wander around and have a bit of downtime in between all the shooting. Because it gets full on. And at the start of the game, there's just, like, Banished everywhere. Yeah. And what's really interesting about this is when you clear out areas, they kind of stay empty. So you start the game with this really sort of populated world where there's just little camps of Banished everywhere. They've got little tannoys where they've got, oh my God, I have to talk about the Banished in a minute.
Yeah, okay,
they've got like communications towers and like basically doing like morale boosts to the Banished and going on about how great the Banished are and how rubbish the humans are.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. Like there's things like that you can take out. There's very, very old items linked to past lore that you can discover and scan. And then there's also things called Spartan cores, which you use to upgrade your suit. That'll basically level you up and give you more strong things.
So there's a bit of that kind of...
Better shield, better grapple hook, things like that.
So there is a bit of that RPG element to it as well.
A little
nice.
bit. A little bit. It's like baby steps into an open world. It's not too big. And you can basically also open up fast travel points by taking out fobs, which are like little mini enemy bases. So you take them out and then you can take over that area and you can replenish your guns there and get unlock vehicles that can just be available to drive from the different fobs. And that gets you around the map a bit more quickly. You can also drive vehicles around, but I'll talk about them when I talk about slightly less good things about the game.
Fair enough.
But it's fun. Like, and there's a few bigger kind of enemy bases that are more interesting to take over, and they are actually doing things. They're not like... So I was thinking about how Far Cry, a lot of the enemy encampments and bases are just all the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
Certainly in some of the some of the Far Cries, they're just all the same. It's like take over the base, climb to the top of a tower, make it yours. Like some of these, the littler bases are a bit like that, but it's not always the same enemy types. So there is a bit of diversity in how you're going to approach stuff. But some of the bigger ones, they've got different functions. So the Banished you discover are mining something on the ring. And so one of the places you can take over is like a big kind of mine. One of them is like an armory. One of them is like a vehicle place, I think. I can't even remember now. But yeah, there's slightly different functions to the places. And when you clear them out, they stay clear. So by the end of the game, as I said, like there's not really many enemies around. It's really interesting.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it goes from being a busy ring to being a quiet ring, which... I think it's quite nice because often when you clear enemies in an open world game, if you go away and come back again, they're just all basically back.
Like, hello,
the big boss. So like you just feel like you've never made progress in terms of clearing something of bad influence or bad force or whatever. But in this, it's just like they're gone. There might be an odd straggler here and there, but it's you empty them out.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Cool. So, shall we move on to negatives of the game?
Oh, no, I want to say one more positive.
Oh, go on then. One more positive.
I absolutely love the Banished.
Okay.
My favourite sort of ranks. So there's different sort of ranks. There's like elites, who are the really hard ones. They're like little mini bosses. Not mini bosses, but they're hard. There's jackals who are kind of sniper types who you got to watch out for. There's brutes who do what they say on the tin. And there's different levels of brutes. Like some will just chase after you and they're like battering rams and they'll just come out of nowhere and take you out. And then my absolute favourite are the grunts, who are like the little... That's so funny. For some reason, they've all got these funny little cartoony New York accents, and they're like, you shoot them. They're like, oh no, my shield is down. They've got funny little voices, and they're always like, if one of them gets you, they're like, ha. No one should doubt the grunts. Oh no, we've got to go. He's found us. Ah! Like they're just so funny. And the dialogue, whoever wrote the dialogue for them is a genius because they're hilarious. Yeah. And occasionally, as I said, you'll come across these little towers, which is you'll hear a grunt comms officer, which is basically like a little grunt saying, "The Banished are in charge. Humans are bad. They smell." Like basically just slagging off humans. Like it's just so funny. I love them so much, and I loved beating them up. And it's like you'd like hit them with your grapple, electrocute them, and they'd be like, "Oh no, my shield is down! Oh, I've been electrocuted!" Ah!
I feel like that's something carried on from the first one, because they had, I'm sure it was the Covenant had their own little grunts as well, and they were
grunts
similar kind of thing.
The cutest.
They were quite, you kill them, but they were, had really sweet little voices.
Yeah, and then you hear the brutes saying things like "stupid grunts, waste of air," and they basically all just squabble with each other.
Yeah.
And one thing I really enjoyed with this game is when you die, you get to hear what they say about you.
Oh, really?
And sometimes they're like, "We told you that the grunts were great." They'll be like, "He didn't see that coming." It's just so funny. So you kind of don't mind dying sometimes. It's really fun. And then, your big bad enemy, you're fighting against kind of top banished guys. And, they're really good. And I think the main enemy that you're kind of facing off for the whole thing, his voice acting is amazing. He looks like a kind of giant space gorilla.
Yeah.
Like, that's the sort of facial vibe. It's like an ape. But the voice acting is, like, incredible. And every time you get a little video message from him, like, threatening you and stuff, he's really good and manages to be really emotional.
Yeah.
As well as threatening and mean and, very antagonistic. Yeah, so I really like the enemies. I think that, for the most part, they're really good. And you get the same types, but they're all different levels and you sort of have to approach them in slightly different ways.
It sounds like they've got a good balance. Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like they've got a good balance of making the game entertaining in that way without making it too silly.
It is kind of silly.
But not, do you know what I mean? Where something just gets a bit like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, there's that dynamic, really, really hard guys, and then these little cute guys kind of thing. There's like you said, there's different levels. It's not just
100%.
silliness.
Like, basically all the enemies are sort of a bit camp, like in terms of they're slightly theatrical.
Yeah.
But I think that's fine because I think the game is a bit camp. Like, I think that there's something really theatric about Halo. And this brings me into the slightly negative things, right? So what sort of doesn't work for me is a bit of the story and how serious the story takes itself. Because of this sort of camp theatrical, joyful, fun way of defeating and confronting baddies, which is really brilliant. And like, the guns are ridiculous. Like, some of them are just so, like, one of them's got like a homing missile type thing on it, and like, you can blast things with light from like a sniper rifle, but it's like a sentinel beam. Like, there's the weapons are so fun, the enemies are so fun, the world is quite interesting and vibrant. But the story is quite like somber and straight.
Really?
So I feel like,
well, I guess if the human race has been defeated, it's not going to be like, oh, happy sunshine and rainbows.
But then your AI that you get, so you get a new AI in this game.
Not Cortana.
No.
No,
because Cortana, like, spoilers for Halo 4, but Cortana dies. And spoilers for Halo 5, Cortana's the baddie. So it's just like, I'm not going to go into any spoilers for this game, but you have a new AI, and that AI happens to be very chipper and perky and kind of gives you some sort of almost comic one-liners. But Master Chief is like so serious all the time. It's just so serious. But again, great voice acting, loads of gravitas.
Yeah.
But the story, I think, just takes itself a bit too seriously, which sort of sometimes jars, or sometimes you're like, all right, I get it, can we move on? Like, I liked the main baddie, Erim, that you're kind of up against. He's really good, and sort of the stuff with him is really good, and how that feeds into sort of what happened previously is really good. But the way that the emotional strand of the story and of Master Chief's sort of background gets kind of played out again and again, and you almost like hear a little violin string of like how it's meant to make you feel. I just feel like it doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
So there was things about that didn't work for me. Also, I love Erim, I think I pronounced that right, Erim, the kind of main baddie, but there's a sort of secondary force, and again, I'm not going to give spoilers, which recalls some of the sort of older enemy types. that sort of also becomes the main baddie, and that just added a layer and an extra boss at the end where you were like, but I've defeated the baddie I was against the whole game.
Yeah.
And then I feel like this is just secondary and they've chucked in this sort of extra character.
Just feels like content for the sake of content then?
It feels like they've tried to make the story relate back to the bigger lore. When actually, I just want to fight one big baddie. And I felt like Erim was like a really good baddie. And I really liked that he didn't have a straightforward storyline. Like, he also had a sympathetic thing that is revealed. So like, at some point you're like, I kind of get this character. I kind of get why he needs Master Chief to still be in the game, because he's a warrior and he needs to fight, and Master Chief's a warrior and he needs to fight. And so it's like a really interesting dynamic that they introduced, but then they like add another layer, and I just didn't think it needed that. And then at the end of the game, like oh my god, the second to last boss fight was so goddamn tedious, and I kept getting cramp in my thumb. It was like, no. And like there was a crazy difficulty spike.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and then you do that, and then you're like, oh, what? I've got to do another boss? So like, yeah.
Oh god.
Without, you think you've done the end, and the end, and it's suitably hard enough, and then they just tack another ending on because of this other layer.
Yeah.
So again, I'm being a bit vague, so I don't want to spoil the story. This is still quite a new game.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a big downer for me, because I think the game could have been really good if it was just a bit slicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
So that's my sort of big negative.
I think you also mentioned in regards to negative, you were going to say about the vehicles or something, which are...
Oh yeah, oh my god, they're impossible. They've always been impossible to drive. Just sort it out, Halo. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, you get vehicles in so many games now. Like, just sort it out. It doesn't need to be driving like in right angles. Like, so I'm talking about the cars specifically.
Yeah, I can't remember them being too bad, actually.
Oh, they're just like, they don't turn properly. They fall over cliffs. Just sort it out.
Yeah, I mean, cars go over cliffs, and that's how gravity works.
They just I don't know if it's meant to be something to do with the lack of gravity on the Zeta Halo, or what. But like, the cars are just annoying to drive. I didn't enjoy driving. The tank was fine. The kind of enemy crafts, the little hovercrafty things, they were fine. But like, I used to love those
ones. I think they're called Banshees, the ones that fly around. They were great fun.
Yeah, they're fun. Yeah, they're really fun. Yeah, they're fun. Basically, anything that flew was fun because you could steer it properly. Yeah. But the like actual Jeep type thing, I've even forgotten what they're called. My brain isn't working today. But like the main vehicles that you get, that you can you can get your Marines on the back. Yeah. And they'll like fire the guns for you and stuff. That's really cool because in the open world you can release. There'll be a bunch of your friendly troops that are like being kept captive by the Banished. If you release them, they'll like join you and help you do little missions and stuff.
Okay, cool.
With skirmishes on.
I was going to ask as well, actually, if there is any remnants of humans left, but that kind of answers.
Yeah,
the
there
question.
is. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And they'll come and help you with the open world skirmishes, but they're not obviously available in the main missions. Which is why I think it will be interesting to play this in co-op when the co-op campaign actually drops. Because then you just get to do the whole thing with a mate, which I think would make it even more fun, to be honest.
Do you know if it's going to be the same campaign, or is there any difference to it?
I don't know, but I think that the world was a little bit too empty, which makes me think that there's stuff that hasn't been dropped in yet. Like, there were huge patches of the ring that were just sort of empty. Like, you'd climb, like in Zelda Breath of the Wild, where you climb to the top of a hill and you get like an amazing view, but also you might get a Korok, or there might be something up there. Yeah. In this, you like climb to a peak and you're like, oh, there's got to be something up here. It's taking me forever to get up with my grappling hook. And there's just nothing. Yeah.
Maybe.
So,
they have intentionally left a bit of space there.
Yeah, I think so. but let's see, because the game is like, it's finished enough for a campaign, but it's... Yeah, I feel like there's space for them to add DLC and stuff within the map that they've already got. So let's just see, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Brilliant. Anything else to mention, or are we going to move on to our anything of note?
I think I'm good. Like, all I say is definitely give this a go if you like a shooter. It is fun. I think that's my main takeaway. It is fun.
Yeah.
So in terms of recommending this, I'd recommend it to anyone who loves first-person shooters, and especially if you're into some fantastical weapons, because I did find the guns and the fact that the game forces you, because you always run out of ammo. It's not a game that has like limitless ammo. So you constantly have to drop good guns and then pick the least bad gun that's been dropped by an enemy to pick up. Like, so you're constantly going, damn it, I've got this really good gun has run out of ammo. There's no ammo. Let me pick up a really shit gun and see what I can do with it. And then you'll kill another enemy and you'll be like, amazing, I've got a rocket launcher. Woohoo, but it's only got 4 rockets in it.
Yeah.
Damn, I've got to switch back to a crap gun. And I think that forces you to just play more freely. And I enjoyed it. Like, it's frustrating sometimes, but it's because I'm used to RPGs where I get a weapon and gradually upgrade it and that's mine forever. But this is just
except for
like...
Breath of the Wild, obviously.
Yeah, right, yeah, exactly. But this is even, like, the weapons run out of ammo even quicker than Breath of the Wild weapons break. Like,
but that makes more sense, doesn't it? You run out of ammo rather than, I hit something with a sword. Oh, my sword is broken. Oh, no.
Yeah. But yeah, so I would recommend it to anyone who likes this kind of games. And I think the campaign is a good enough story. It's not like mind blowing, but it's good enough. And I think the voice acting is really good.
Yeah.
And I really love the world. I think it's really beautiful. Maybe a bit samey, but it's not a very long campaign. So it would take you less than 20 hours. Like, probably if you're very fast and don't take ages exploring, you'd probably do it in about 12 hours.
Oh, really? Okay, so it's not a massive game then.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to our rating. Is that right? Or have I missed anything?
Yeah, I'm struggling with this because on the one hand, I've really enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I can see the pitfalls, like complicating your main antagonist storyline.
Yeah.
And just the world maybe needing a bit more stuff in it for it to really feel like an open world. But I think it's such good quality. Oh, and there was no bug. I didn't have a single bug. Not one.
Really?
Yeah, which is like...
That's amazing.
Kind of amazing, isn't it, for a brand new game? Being finished during a pandemic as well, which I think is definitely something to admire. I think I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, it sounds like it is a really, really good game.
I had a lot of fun with it. And as I say, I'm really intrigued to go back and do the co-op.
I mean, that's the main thing, isn't it? Do you enjoy it?
Yeah.
I mean, the game
think
could
so.
be
And
as polished as you want, but if you don't enjoy it, then it's not worth it. It's
that's it.
A shitly presented game that you just can't put down.
Exactly. And I think that, it's definitely good but not great, but definitely good enough that it's worthy of a recommendation and worthy to have had those kind of Game of the Year nominations and stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. I had fun. Yay!
Brilliant. I'd love to play it at some point. Unfortunately, you don't have an Xbox. Wow.
Well,
maybe one day when I win the lottery, I can have all the gaming consoles and PCs that my heart.
I know. Well, you can't even get an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5 at the moment. So
I know. Well,
it's sort of a weird time, isn't it?
I'll wait until they come back in stock and I've got a bit of money to spend, and then I'll definitely go into getting a PlayStation 5.
I'm actually really keen on getting one
as well, actually.
Sorry?
I'd love to get a gaming PC.
Yeah, same. I think I've definitely, like, as listeners will know, like, we've just played so many more video games, haven't we, since the start of the pandemic, and I think that I've definitely slowly started upgrading, like, my headphones, for example, like, my sort of setup when I play games is getting better and better.
Yeah.
And it's like, I kind of want to go the full hog, but give me $2,000 and I'll get the game.
Nice. I need to take you up on getting some headphones as well. Actually, I need to get some good gaming ones because I feel like
I'll drop you some recommendations. In fact, listeners, if you've got any recommendations, drop them our way.
Definitely. But I feel like that's part of the experience that I'm missing at the minute, playing my PlayStation, because it's just coming out of TV speakers, which are amazing.
They're the worst.
Yeah.
TV speakers are the worst. I mean, at least if you've got a good soundbar and subwoofer, you're all right. But if it's just a TV speaker, it's just you're losing all that beautiful sound design. And also, when you get like I always say this wrong, binaural sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, when like you can hear footsteps behind you and like someone starting a laser gun. That's what I mean about the guns in this game. Like you can hear the laser gun firing up like before it shoots. Oh, wow. Like, and if you can hear it behind you, you're like, damn, there's someone behind me. Oh, it's a jackal. Boom. Like, so I love that when you've got headphones on. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm actually playing Alan Wake at the moment, which I'll talk about in a future episode. But that is very good with headphones because it's scary.
Oh, really? Oh, I look forward to hearing about that one.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Anyway, I think that brings us to the end of the episode. We've had a good old chat.
Yeah, we definitely have. It's good to catch up and good start to the new year.
Yes. So we hope you've enjoyed our informal chit chat about these two games. If you've got recommendations for us, particularly for me, if there's things on Game Pass and you're like, Jem, you haven't reviewed this yet, do let us know. Tim and I both have that, and there's a lot of smaller indie games that we're keen to try, but it's just sifting through which ones you take on and which ones you give a pass. So if you've got recommendations, hit us up. Otherwise, we hope you've enjoyed the episode, and as ever, if you feel the kindness and love in your heart, please consider giving us a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice. It really helps with the algorithms, makes a big difference to us as independent podcasters. And as you know, we do this not because we're games journalists, but because we absolutely love games and we want to share that love with you and recommend not just the things that are out right now, but things that you can go back and play from the vast back catalogue of games that there are in the world now.
Yes.
So yeah, we hope you enjoy the love that we're bringing to you from our own little fondness and passion for games. And yeah, please share this podcast with people that you know that also love games. And we do, as ever, mix it up with board games quite a lot as well.
Ooh,
so if there's board games you want to recommend,
I've got a few new ones actually. So yeah, we'll have to get together at some point and play some.
Hell to the hell yeah. But yes, thank you very much. And all that's left to say is
bye.
goodbye. Catch you next time.
Bye.